Crowds is one of the tools used in perceptional politics. And today, from the start of William Ruto's tour in Githurai to Sagana State Lodge, it is very clear that there was a choreographed strategy to achieve some strategic scenes that I want us to look at in this podcast. If you are keen and you've been following the State House Facebook page, you will realize that the State House team never stopped posting photos of William Ruto while addressing rallies. Now, this is not the first rally. Ruto has been in many places, and after launching one road or this project, he will always have Meet the People tour. That Meet the People tour is normally some sort of political rallies. Now, they normally share the photos in the tents, but they refrain from sharing photos while speaking with the audience, because clearly there have all been some bit of mishap. But today, the Githurai photos were shared by the State House Facebook page, and I want you to look at this photo. This is a photo that was shared when William Ruto was in Githurai, and it was very intentional because that was the first stopover. Githurai is one place that you are always sure you're going to get a crowd, and that's why any politician that is planning some sort of triumphant entry in the mountain will always want to start from Githurai. So Ruto was in Githurai there and was welcomed by that crowd. So that crowd was very intentional. I captured two photos in Githurai. While in Githurai, there is this other photo of Rigathi Gachagua allegedly receiving some cabbage from a woman there, some business sellers. The photo of the DP carrying that cabbage was well choreographed, and his team made sure that that is there. Because let me tell you, who would carry his or her cabbage from the stalls all the way to be close to the convoy so that it will give the deputy president? Those two photos in Githurai were actually needed. So today, I tried to ask a little bit of some few journalists who were part of that convoy what exactly happened. Now, apparently, the crowds started going down on William Ruto's way to Kenol. And if you look at the photos in Kenol and those in Githurai, there is some difference. But what was the strategy? We will look at that. Now, in Kagio, there is this other video. This is a video, Kagio is on your way to Kirinyaga, if I'm not wrong. This is a video where villagers were actually mobilized by the area chiefs to stand by the roadside, and they started waiting for the president as early as 9 a.m., lining across just by the roadside so that they would wait and wave for the president when the president is making entry. It doesn't need any magical science to agree that that strategy, or rather that was organized by Rigathi Gachagua. Those were Moi tactics. And Rigathi Gachagua, the deputy president who worked under Moi, planned it. You know, he's been more of a Moi student. I remember when I was in, probably that was class 1, mainly kunywa maziwa ya Moi in our last, I think up to class 2 there. Class 1, it was only class 1. When stories of the president will come, I never saw Moi, but whenever someone, I think by then the most powerful people was the DC and the PC. Whenever they would come, there would be total standstill. Now, people who were a bit active during Moi's days will tell you that whenever Moi would come to a school, there was a total standstill. In fact, you will not even go to school. People would wave, would stand by the roadside and wave as they welcome him. Now, that was the script. That was the Moi era script that was organized. People standing by the roadside. And I even understand the chiefs were mobilized to call people out from the villages. They were even given some relief food to smoothen the grounds. And the borders were also facilitated by some cash so that they would actually stop work and go and welcome President William Ruto. So that was the scenes of Kageo in Kirinyaga County. Then I looked at the other scene, which was very interesting, while Ruto was speaking in Nyeri.
Tumeongea na wale wa Singapore, tumeongea na wale wa Ufaransa, na wote wamesema wako tayari vijana wetu wa Kenya wawafanyie kazi ile inaitwa digital jobs. Watu vijana hapa Nyeri mko tayari kwa hiyo biashara? Mko tayari kwa hiyo kazi? Mimi nataka niwaambie
I want you to watch this video a bit. This video is Ruto talking, and even the cameraman was trying to zoom. You could point out the women in yellow were actually those who were campaigning. If you remember during campaigns, for those who really captured, or those who are active in this podcast in the bold, who had already subscribed in the bold during the campaigns, we extensively analyzed about the women in yellow that used to come from Nyeri. Now, that caucus was mobilized, and you could see, they were part of whatever is going on. But however, there is something that should really worry the president, but that despite of the fact that the crowd was mobilized, but they were not very happy, they were not interacting with the message as of during the campaign period. So those scenes, the scenes of Nyeri actually telling, in fact there is another video that I've seen of even people heckling. So the scenes of Nyeri, and why were people lined up in Kageo? Okay, fine, president is coming, he's now the president. Why would you have to line up people, mobilize to people, line up to become the president? I think it would have been natural if they just left their work and say, because they attach some significance to the person coming, to the guest coming, and they go there. But then they were there being entertained so that they really follow into what was going on. Nyeri mobilized the classified audience, and this is a very clear messaging that everything was choreographed. And so I want to explain for you in details my 4 reasons why there was an intention of the choreographed crowd. There was what was behind the intention. Number 1, if you look at William Ruto's messaging, I'm going to analyze that in my next video. The messaging was on anti-Raila Odinga politics, or Raila Odinga smear campaign. Now, people are mobilized so that they can maximize on penetration of Raila Odinga smear campaign. All those people who came there, whenever they will talk about other things, it was not very easy. But because the tour was also meant to run some smear campaign against Raila Odinga, who William Ruto has really made as the subject whenever he goes to Mount Kenya, is the reason why that crowd was mobilized. Number 2, the Mount Kenya tour was very strategic, because to William Samoei Ruto, he knew very well that there is a deficit of tangible, convincing projects. Some of those things I listened to the president saying there. I saw a photo by Pauline Njoroge saying that most of those things were actually started by Uhuru Kenyatta, which is not what you really want to bank on. But because the photos, the huge crowds were largely associated with the hustler nation, I think the president handlers wanted to, depict grip of the hustler nation still in Mount Kenya. In fact, the Mount Kenya, I don't know, someone is calling them Tugeges, but William Ruto's supporters in the mountain are still meant to believe of a hustler nation thing. But I want to say this for avoidance of doubt. You cannot be a president and you still want to depict yourself as a hustler. It does not click. And I think even those behind that that strategy are simply misleading William Ruto, because you cannot be a president with all the opulence, with all the trappings of power, but you still want to stand before voters and tell people to bring in a hustler nation thing. You know, it's not. So the point of contact between Ruto and Mount Kenya voters was that this is our hope. You know, that's what was to be depicted, that Uhuru Kenyatta has abandoned them. Uhuru Kenyatta, I don't know, has mistreated the leaders. And so the only hope for the leaders and the people of the mountain was William Ruto. So that was the intention why the photos of huge crowds were actually needed. Number 3, Rigathi Gachagua is planning to be the kingpin. And if you look at the convoy, Ruto was ahead, Rigathi follows, then Musalia Mudavadi. And so, and if you look at the other leaders who were there, they were just the parliamentary team, the Nchungwa, Ndedi Joro, and the rest. People tend to believe that, you know, this tour had been organized earlier by Rigathi Gachagua. Someone wants to use the shadow of William Ruto to be the kingpin. So what he has opted to do is to donate the kingpinship to William Ruto temporarily for the moment. We want to show Ruto that you are our king. You are the king of the region, because someone like Rigathi Gachagua knows very well that if William Ruto is the king and is the son of the region, then he will take some credit for having campaigned for William Ruto, having endeared William Ruto to the voters. So it's all about the kingpinship battle. Someone wants to show the huge crowds, to show that people still love you, and people love Ruto because of me. So that is in the eye of Rigathi Gachagua. Perception of euphoria is misleading, because there is something that William Ruto should actually sit, the handlers should sit down and review those images. You will realize that even though you brought huge crowds, but they are not the crowds that were happy during the campaign trail. It's not. The crowds are not happy, because this is the truth. After the relief food you've given is over, and spent the 500 shillings you've given them to smoothen the ground after it's over, they will go back to the shop tomorrow and find out the price of unga still at 240. They'll still go back to the shop and find the price of sugar at 2 kg still at 450. So there's no permanent solution. As of now, it was very clear to show the country by euphoria that I still have some support. And my good friend Monica told me that the president organized a huge crowd in the mountain so that he would prepare for the Rift Valley. And then it would be a challenge for Rift Valley, because Rift Valley is already hot. You know, it's already hot, by the way. It's one of the hottest regions than any other place. Would prepare for how the Rift will welcome him. But on this one, I think those who are behind the politics of the crowd simply got it wrong. The best you can tell the president is to solve the people's problems instead of making posturing. Political posturing, it is very effective but short-lived. You cannot posture as a hustler again while you have all the opulence and the trappings of power. That is my bold. I'm back with another quick one, looking at William Ruto's tour in the mountain.